Welcome to the Miracles and Millions Show. This is your go-to show for living a life of miracles, where we're taking the limits off what you believe is possible. It's time to play big, be bold, and shine bright. I'm your host, Michelle Humphrey. Hello, and welcome to another powerful episode of Miracles and Millions. I am your host, Michelle Humphrey, and it truly is such an honor to be here with you today. I'm pretty new to this, as you may or may not realize. We're only on episode number 4, I believe this is, and I just got to share the feedback from this audience and this community has already been so amazing and so inspiring. I have so many great things planned and how to raise your level of consciousness to see miracles all around you, to open up to how you may also be able to make millions quicker and easier with less effort than you truly thought possible. And so much is going on that, oh my gosh, we just want to celebrate. And today's episode is just no exception to what we're talking about. And it's a specific share of what I've been a part of for many, many years, 28 years to be exact, and where I was this Saturday night. So I want to share the miracles and the millions literally from this experience. It was a Tony Robbins 60th birthday celebration, and it was a benefit concert in LA at the Microsoft Theater that benefited an organization called Operation Underground Railroad. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this organization because prior to this night, just a couple days ago, I didn't know anything about it. And I will share some of the details of that. But I'm going to give you a little backstory of how I met Tony Robbins and the profound impact that he's had in my life. And in this episode, looking to pass on those golden nuggets that have really helped to shape my life for the better. And Tony Robbins, if you don't know him, just Google him. He's like everywhere and then some. An incredible man. He was born actually February 29th, 1960. So he's born on what's called a leap year. And literally this past Saturday, February 29th, 2020, some people were laughing and joking that he's only 15 years old because it's only the 15th actual birthday that he's ever really had on his birthday. Normally he's celebrating it on March 1st. But it was as they called it, an unforgettable night of music, entertainment, contribution, and heartfelt expressions of love for an extraordinary man who has dedicated his life to making other people's lives better. And I can so share that that's true. So my story goes back to 1992. And in 1992, oh my gosh, I've had some lows, and that was definitely one of the lowest lows in my life. I was dating a guy, and I won't go crazy into the drama of this story, but I found this gentleman, honestly, no exaggeration, in bed with another woman. Physically in bed naked. Yes, you heard me. And yeah, it was one of those, what's the guy's name? It's not Phil Donahue, the Jerry Springer. Oh my gosh, you guys remember? I don't even know if Jerry Springer's still on, but it was my Jerry Springer moment. And the short of it is we broke up, but we were working together, and I had moved out from New York to Arizona to be with this man. So the short of it is I had no community. I had no family around me. And when we broke up, it was this gymnastics club that we owned together, which I had sunk in my entire life savings to build. Bottom line, it was all gone. And I had no money, no job, no direction. And for days, I could not get myself off the floor, literally crying, couldn't leave my apartment. It was bad. And fast forward, because out of pure desperation of needing money, I had to get a job. And I got a job working at US Swim and Fitness. It's this incredible club gym that is based in Phoenix, Arizona. They might be in other locations. I believe that they are, but that's where I found this job. And bottom line, I showed up in pretty rough shape. There was a lot going on. I had also just recently had a car accident, so I was driving a rent-a-car because my car had been practically totaled. And it was just this experience in my life where my boss he liked me as a person, and they hired me because they thought, I could do a pretty good job selling health club memberships. The huge advantage I had at that point is I was in pretty good shape because I owned a gymnastics club and I was working out a lot. And I really valued, and still do, taking care of yourself, taking care of your health. But everything else in my life was in awful condition. But this one particular boss, who's also, his name is Tony, really kind of took me under his wing in so many ways and knew I was going through a hard time and didn't even really ask a lot of questions, but just, gosh, I look back and he really filled me up with belief and speaking just what I could become into this position, just like, you really have what it takes to be one of the greats. And, I really see you being one of the top salespeople here in the club. And that's what I did. I sold gym memberships for really a year at a time. People could do full pays. They could do monthly payments. We had multiple different types of plans that they could be a part of. And in the beginning, I'll save you the drama, I completely stunk at it. But through his work and training and everything, I actually got pretty good and did go on to become, a top sales rep there. And it's something that it really helped me to start getting my self-confidence back. But here's really the turning point when I look back. He had purchased the Tony Robbins cassettes way back on an infomercial where, it was like this $200 investment, get all of Tony Robbins cassette tapes, 30 days, personal power. And he had it. And he wound up letting me, and I didn't even know there was like a 30 pack, but he would give me these cassette tapes and say, like, listen to this. I want you to listen to this. And I would be like, oh my gosh, like, this guy's amazing. And didn't know anything about him. This was before really, Google somebody and look them up. So I just kept asking him, like, do you have any more of those tapes? And he'd give me another tape and give me another tape. And they were not in order. I didn't really put together the whole series. But fast forward, I didn't stay at that job much longer after he had introduced me to these cassette tapes. A lot of reasons I left, but I went from living in Arizona and I moved back to New Jersey, which is where my family is from. And I wound up getting another job at a health club. And I was able to do that, pretty easily because now I had great experience. I really had a lot of confidence that I can help grow the gym membership. So I got another job. And one of my first thoughts was, I got to get more of these Tony Robbins tapes. And I was talking to my now new boss, this woman, Lynn, and I was telling her that I got to figure out, like, where do I go to, like, order these things? And she's like, please don't do it. She was like, I bought these things months and months ago. They're sitting in a closet in my home and I haven't even opened them. And I was like, what? You've got to bring them in. We're going to start listening to them. And it was me, this other girl, Rachel, that we worked with, and Lynn. And every single day that we were all working, we came in about an hour, 90 minutes early, and we listened to the Tony Robbins, the 30 days personal power. And oh my gosh, it was just everything for me. It was inspiring and it was waking me up. And I remember here on day 4, it was outline, like, what are your goals? What are your top, like, short-term goals? And then he did long-term goals. And one of my top short-term goals was, I've got to go see Tony Robbins live. I've just got to find out, like, more about who he is. And sure enough, I live in New Jersey at the time. He's from California. I call into the California office and find out he's coming to New Jersey in about 10 days. He's doing a UPW, which is Unlimited Power Within, in New Jersey, just 10 days from when I'm calling to find out where I'm going to see him live. And I just thought, oh my goodness, this is so meant to be. And I was like, I've got to get a ticket. And how much are tickets? And the woman on the other line goes, $495. And I'm like, what? How much are these tickets? And you got to remember, I'm 23 years old at the time. My job, I'm barely making $1,000 a month as a base. And I was earning some commissions, but I had just started this job and I hadn't had built up a base of commissions. And I had never heard of that much money for a seminar, a 3-day seminar. I thought she was going to tell me like $50, maybe $495. I didn't have it. And I didn't have the money on a credit card to even charge it. So I hang up and I'm going, oh my gosh, I've got to find a way to get this money. And I wind up calling my mother and asking if I could borrow a credit card. And some other episode we'll get into, the relationship I had with my mother, but I did not feel comfortable telling her I was going to go to a seminar. I just didn't think she'd give me the money for that. So I'm being all kind of mysterious and, Mom, I really need this money and I'm asking for, just $500 and I'll pay you back. And, really a couple months, I was thinking I'll squirrel some money away from each of my next few paychecks and pay her back. And, I think she thought the worst, something bad. So finally in the end, I told her, I'm like, come on, I want to go to this seminar. And of course I'm telling her, it's going to be a fire walking seminar. I'm going to walk over coals. And she's like, honey, I'm not giving you this money. I'm going to save you from this bad decision. And she told me black and white, no. And I hung up the phone and I thought, are you kidding me? I've got to get to this seminar. I knew it. And I go to my current job and the boss and I'm seeing if I can get an advance on my paycheck and they're saying no. And I'm I literally tried to get a loan and that didn't go through. And I'm just I've got to get to this seminar. So this is what I do. I call back, the Robbins research. And I'm just saying, I so want to go, but I just don't have the money. So as I'm speaking to this rep, she says, well, instead of doing the whole weekend, which is $495, perhaps you could just do the firewalk experience. And back then they sold that separately, which I didn't even know. And she said, that's only $175. And I said, I'm going to be there one way or the other. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got to call you back. And I hang up the phone and I'm just going, okay, how am I going to get this money? And I'm going to call my mother back. So I call my mother back and I tell her that, all right, don't give me the 500. Just allow me to use your credit card for 175. And she's like, Michelle, is this still for the seminar? And I'm like, Mom, yes, it is. She's like, I am not giving you this money. And then I don't know why I ever said this, but in the end it worked. I don't recommend this, but I said, Mom, I knew she had the money, right? And I said, if you don't let me borrow your credit card, I swear I will never speak with you again. I've never asked you for anything. This is something that is so important to me and just give me the money. I was screaming at my mother and in the end, she did. I can't even believe it. I mean, she was like, you use this for anything else. You use this credit card any other time. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So she gave me the credit card number. I literally called back up and I was going to at least the Friday night walk experience. And these are just some funny points to tell you. I had no idea what to expect. I'm going to a firewalking experience. I dress up in my best suit. I put on nylon stockings and high heels. God knows what I was thinking. I was the only person back then. I don't even think there was 500 people in the room, but I am the only one who's dressed up. I mean, people are in jeans and t-shirts and sneakers. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So anyway, I check in and they give me this wristband and I check in and I sign the waiver and I do everything. And we're in this lobby waiting for the doors to open. And I'm talking to people and I'm asking them, oh, are you just here for the firewalk experience? They're like, no, we're here for the weekend. We're here through, actually, it was Monday. I'm like, you are? And I'm looking at their wristbands and I'm looking at my wristband and I'm like, did they give you anything else other than that wristband? They're like, no. And I'm like, their wristband's the same as my wristband. And you're here all weekend. And I asked 4 or 5 people and I realized, oh my gosh, I have a full weekend wristband on. And I just took that as, looking back, guys, I'll tell you that was a miracle. And the huge reason of why I believe that happened is because my heart so wanted to be there and the universe literally found a way for me to be there. And if anyone from Robbins Research is ever hearing this, I will pay the difference now. Back then I didn't have the money. I totally have the money now, but I just really felt like it was the universe conspiring to help me. So this is Friday night. I work in a gym. I am scheduled to work Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And when I realized that I'm calling up on a Friday night and I've got to get coverage. And I wound up getting through to a couple coworkers and I covered Saturday and I covered Sunday and there was just no way. There was no one available for Monday. And in the end, I'll tell you, I wasn't able to get out of Monday. They literally said, if you don't come in, you're losing your job. And I couldn't quite afford to have that happen. So I missed the Monday health experience back then. But I'll tell you, many years later, I made up for it. But in the end, I went and here's who Tony Robbins is. I mean, I can still remember when the doors opened, they were playing the song Caribbean Queen and dancing to the music, standing on the top of my chair and just feeling like, wow, like what have I stepped into? But these people are like me. This rocks. This was amazing. By the end of that weekend, I literally was saying this was the best weekend of my life to date. I was forever, I knew it, Tony Robbins fan. And the energy of who he is and his heart. I remember at one point we were all walking to go view the fire. And it was one of the few firewalks I still think to date it ever rained. It was pouring rain and it was cold. We're in New Jersey. Here it is, the beginning of April. This is back in 1992. And, he was walking faster than a lot of people just to get out to, the fire before people. And he kind of, just gently put his arm around me as he was like passing, not knowing who I was, of course. And I look up and I'm like, hi. And he's like, hi, how are you? And I was like, oh, I'm so good. And he looks at me and he goes, just good. After we've talked about, transformational vocabulary and words, create the energies and the vibrations inside of you as part of his seminar. I'm like, no, wait, I'm not just good. I am outstanding. And I'm yelling and he's laughing and we're just having a great time. And let me tell you, that night I sailed over the coals. I literally remember thinking it felt like popcorn underneath my feet. Didn't feel anything. And it's so powerful when you can get into state, when you can get into this, you are safe, you are protected, as, they say with the firewalk, if you haven't been, it's this, you train yourself to feel like you're walking over cool moss. And it was exactly like that. For me, I called it popcorn and I just didn't feel anything. And the power of using your mind to start shifting your world, to set this up now, guys, let's use it for ways to create magic and miracles and millions, right? This is what it's all about. So I just want to give you a little background of when I first met him. To be honest, that was in 1992. My next big event, I did UPW again in 1996. And then I did all the big seminars he had in 1997, Date with Destiny and Life Mastery and Wealth Mastery. And I can tell you, it permanently shifted my life, helped me to get clear on who I am and the values that I hold and the rules, that you live by. And I can tell you that I was blessed to crew. Oh my gosh, I've crewed, which is staffed. I've gone on to be a trainer on his team. I've gone through training academy, leadership academy, right? Different things that he's offered. And I'll tell you one other highlight. I was in Hawaii at his Life Mastery program in 2001, the day that 9/11 happened. And at the time, I used to live in New York, and I was actually assigned to the New York team. So there's about 2,000 people from, about 150 plus countries around the world. And each team has about 50 participants, and every single participant that is on my team is from New York. So here's the way this day played out, as many of you all know. But I get a call probably about 3:30 in the morning from my fiance, who I just got engaged to, now my husband of 18 years, at, I guess 3:30 or early in the morning. I mean, Hawaii is a 6-hour time difference from New York. And he's in tears. He's literally telling me like a plane just like crashed into the building, and it was right when the second plane had hit, and, they're just thinking that, the world is under attack and it's starting in New York, and we're beyond like upset. We just gotten engaged 5 weeks ago. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is like the happiest time of my life and the world's coming to an end. And we don't have a way to be together. I mean, my first thing was, honey, you got to get on a plane. You got to get out to Hawaii. It's like, I don't think they're going to be flying planes for a while here, honey. So I just really was so scared that we weren't going to be together for, whatever this disaster was looking like it was going to be. But we wound up meeting as the team for New York a little bit early, just to see, how we were going to come together prior to the event starting, prior to Life Mastery starting. I believe at that point we're only like on day 3 of a week, or I don't know if we had another 7 days left or something, of a 10-day something. But I mean, we were still pretty early into the event, and there's so much I could tell you, but the short of it is, I had been really learning about peace and keeping my energy at peace and understanding that everything is happening to bless me, which, trust me, there was a part of my brain going, how could this be a blessing? How could people who are they've lost their lives, thousands of people who lost their lives in this disastrous thing be a blessing? But I was willing to hold that possibility. And then Tony, oh my gosh, you got to remember, he was doing a seminar for thousands of people from all different countries, different walks of life, different belief systems. And he went around and he, in short, started saying, like, well, what does this event mean to you? And he got all this different feedback. And in short, here's what it comes down to in your world, everyone, that there's so many people that were so sad about 9/11. And short, they were already sad people. People who were so fearful, but then you realize they were already fearful people. People who got so angry about what was going on at 9/11, and you realize they were angry people. I'm here to tell you, what you see in the world is simply what you are doing on the inside of you. And it is true. Sad people see the world through sad eyes. Fearful people see the world through fearful eyes. Angry people see the world through angry eyes. And you know what? I had opened up to being at peace, and I was looking for the blessing. I was saying, like, this has got to be a blessing. Like, God would not have allowed this if it wasn't going to contribute to the greater good. And I watched myself have a completely different meaning than even myself of probably 2 or 3 years earlier, right? I was looking for the blessing. And here's some of the things I can share. By the end of the night, I had been a blessing to so many people. I wasn't able to stay present to people's emotional upset. I was supported by whatever you might want to call this. I'm going to say God is my language. I was supported by God that day. At the end of the day, here's what I remember when we re-met up, and the trainers and the cruise staff, people were on the floor like they couldn't move. They were beyond exhausted. People had poured in so much love and energy, but they did it from themselves. I had, easily an 18, probably almost 19-hour day that day. And I had poured in, and I was fully present to everyone on the New York team, and was there in compassion and holding people and hugging them and just fully in the experience of it. But here's what was different. By the end of the day, which was crazy because I'd only had about 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep the night before because of being woken up at 3:30. It was incredible. I had energy. I wasn't out on the floor. I wasn't exhausted. And I didn't understand why. Like, really, truly, back at that point in time, I didn't understand how that could be possible. Like, logically, I should have felt ill, right? Like everyone else around me did. And there was just enough awareness to say, I think God is sustaining me. But why is he sustaining me and not other people? Like, that I didn't understand. And it was through the work with this one particular mentor, Bijan, who wrote the book, Effortless Prosperity. I always love to give credit where credit is due. And he said, because Michelle, you were sustained because you stayed in peace. You were sustained because you were willing to see the blessing, and that everything on this planet is a blessing if you're willing to look for it. And you don't go down with the circumstances, right? You look for the magic, you look for the miracles, you look for the blessing. And it was this eye-opening experience that I had never had before. And I will say it started at a Tony Robbins event, in 9/11, and the energies of, oh my goodness, again, just to get back to the magic and who this man is, Tony Robbins, he's had such a profound impact in my life and continued to accrue, at least 1, if not 2 or 3 more events every single year for the next decade. That's what an impact he's made on me. And this last decade, because I have a 9-year-old, I've only been to 1 event in the last 10 years. But here we are, just 48 hours ago, it was his 60th birthday. And man, I didn't even know the details of what was going to happen, but I saw we could get tickets, and I wound up buying, just amazing seats, like right down front. We were like 11th row orchestra seats. And it was just such an honor and a privilege to be a part of it. And here's one other part that I want to share with you is being in the room with many, 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 can I emphasize that again? Many millionaires and multimillionaires. And the reason I know that is because of how many people contributed literally millions of dollars. There were a handful of people that contributed over $1 million to this charity, Operation Underground Railroad. It was a benefit concert again for this organization, and Tony Robbins himself contributed $5 million. Many people, $1.25 million. Quite a few of those, right? Either 3 or 4 of those that had happened. But then there were 8 people, 8 in this audience that contributed over $250,000, $250,000 a part of this. And then so many people that had contributed over 50,000. I mean, more than I could keep track of because they brought them up on stage at one point. And then, oh my goodness, countless people. Like the stage was packed with people who'd contributed over $25,000 or more. And, being in that room was so inspiring. There's about 3,000 of us. And when they were asking for donations, they had said, $1,250 saves one child. And that was the number that just resonated with me, right? So my husband and I were like, yeah, we're in for $1,250. And, then the numbers just kept going up, like who's given 10,000 and 25,000 and 50,000. We're just like, whoa, like, okay, we're doing pretty good here and feeling peace with our little 1,250. But here's what I did. And here's what I guarantee you opens you up to play bigger. I didn't make myself wrong. Actually, to be really transparent, what was going through my mind is this isn't the only cause that I give to. And I'm starting to go, okay, I'm giving to this, I'm giving to this, I'm giving to this. And I'm like, all right, how much money am I giving out here, right? Even though I knew I wanted to give something. And I caught myself like, I don't want to live that way. Like I want to be that abundant, that generous, that filled with contribution energy, right? So we were like, yeah, we're totally giving $1,250. But here's what I did. I gave it from joy. I gave it from, you know what? I'm going to feel good about where I am right now. And I was asking God to add 1,000 times greater impact to my contribution. And if you take $1,250 and you times it by 1,000, that's 1.25 million. And that's the number that I'm holding, that in the near future, I will donate $1,250,000 in joy. And right now, I don't make enough money to do that, right? That feels so outside of where I currently am at this point. But you know what? Here's what's so great, guys. And here's how you open up to millions, more millions, right? The universe doesn't know the difference between what's vividly imagined and what is real. I have held and seen myself on stage literally being one of the biggest contributors to a charity. I don't know if it'll be this particular charity or a different cause, but it's just this like, bring it on. Where am I going to donate $1.25 million? That's $1,250,000. And I'm holding that. And that's what I'm excited about. And I know God is going to allow me and find ways and open up resources, both expected and unexpected ways that I can't even imagine, where I'm going to attract such millions. I mean, if I'm going to give away over $1 million, like I've got to be making, many, many, many millions, right? I've already claimed that I'm a centimillionaire. What does that mean? That literally I have a net worth of over $100 million. Why do I do that? Because the universe is abundant. And you know what? I'm a super awesome person to be abundant, wealthy, rich, generous, prosperous with, because I will do great things with this money. I'm a great steward of money. And if you're listening to this podcast, I ask you to open up your heart and yes to the money. And you know what are you going to do with the money? How are you going to be a great steward? Yes, you get to have everything that you want on this planet. The house, the car, the travel, the extravagant, whatever it is that you want. Have that, but that is just a small portion. Once you have what you want, my God, it's like I live in my dream house. I drive my dream car. I have all the materialistic things. I travel. Like what more? It's like there's contribution. And just to come full circle to Tony one more time, that man has taught me contribution at a whole new level. He has opened up my world to say, you know what? It's not just about you. It's about helping to make this world a better place. And I dedicate this podcast show to Tony Robbins, this particular one. You inspire me, Tony Robbins. You have transformed my life. I am so truly grateful from the bottom of my heart that I met you so many years ago, 28 years to be exact. I was in a meditation. I'll say this the other day. I meditate every day. And on Saturday, his actual birthday, I was just wrapping him in so much love, so much light. And I was going through something that he taught me, look for the magic moments. And I was just flooding myself with magic moments of the times I've shared with Tony Robbins and what he's done for my life. And I was so filled up. There was more than I can count. There's more than I can, even pack into this little episode here. That, to have someone in your life that you can so appreciate at that level is just a gorgeous gift. And Tony Robbins, you are a gorgeous gift from God to my life. So thank you for who you are. And for every single person that's listening, here's what I thought I'd end with. The top 3 things that I really feel I got from Tony Robbins. And I can tell you, when I was quick jotting these down, I was like, oh my goodness, the first one, nothing has meaning except for the meaning that you give it. I do believe that was the seed that helped me to see 9/11 as a blessing, because it's like, what meaning am I going to put on this? And to see that as a blessing, to see that this was serving the greater good and the positive rippling effect that I've been able to witness because of that filter has been miraculous and such a gift for me. The second one is every decision made of fear is the wrong decision. Oh my gosh, that has saved me from so many bad decisions, so many times where I've actually added fear or anger, low energy, right? That's actually how I phrase it now. Any decision made from low energy, meaning you're in a pissed off, state of mind and you're like, screw it, I don't care, wrong decision. If you're fearful, like, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, wrong decision, right? If you're sad and you're like, I can't do this anymore, you're feeling weak or apathetic or, shameful or guilty. Guys, if you make decisions from those energies, wrong decisions. And here's why. It'll throw you into a downward spiral. You will concrete more of what you're saying to yourself. And you know what? All these energies, and this is what this entire podcast is about, to open up to miracles and millions, is you got to shift your perception. If you're in these low energies, you've got to shift it into a higher vibration. That's why, we call this living in love and above and the Love and Above Club. Let's continue these conversations in the Facebook group beyond this podcast. But every decision made from, as Tony said, fear, I've added low energies, is the wrong decision. It'll take you into a downward spiral. And you know what? That gives you momentum going the wrong direction. Your life is meant to live in an upward spiral, right? Some of my last podcast was like, the what if up questions. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to that short podcast. People are so caught up in these what ifs and downs. Like, what if it doesn't work out? What if I'm not good enough? All the things that don't make you feel good. No, you got to shift that into what if up. So thank you, Tony, for that seed. And then the third thing is, oh my goodness, we are just constantly living life to meet our needs. And it wasn't Tony's originally, but he's perfected living and understanding by your 6 human needs. And what are your 6 human needs? There's certainty. Right? We all have a need for certainty, but yet at the same time, we have an opposite need for variety. So certainty and variety are 2. Connection, right? The need for connection, closeness, oneness. And we also have a need for significance, to be our own person, to be the best versions of ourselves. And we also have those are what he kind of calls the 4 primary ones, but then the 2 spirit needs are growth, which is probably self-explanatory, but a need to grow and get better each and every day, honestly, in my point of view. But, most people, at least every year, you want it to get better and better. And contribution to give back beyond you. This world is not just about you. We, in the higher sense of everything, we're one. We're all one. So anything that you do to yourself, you know what? You benefit the greater good. I'm here to tell you guys, your success is everyone's success. And if you're projecting out to the world what you dislike and what you hate and, this no good piece of garbage over here, and you're labeling that on someone, you're doing it to yourself. So thank you for those 3 things. Again, just nothing has meaning except for the meaning you give it. Every decision made from fear is the wrong decision. And that we're all looking to meet 6 human needs in everything. And you know what? I'm going to take that just a little bit deeper. Think of one thing that you love to do. Like it's so easy for you to do it. I'll give you my example. Go to yoga. Like freaking love yoga. Why? On a scale of 1 to 10, does it meet my need for certainty? Yeah. Heck yeah. It's at least 9, if not 10, right? I'm so certain that this is good for me, that I'm going to enjoy it, that I'm going to feel better, after I get out of the class. So a high level of certainty, variety, totally great. Like there's just enough variety that it makes it interesting and unique, and the different music and different people that I'll meet and the different instructors, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at least at an 8, if not a 9 or a 10 for variety. Okay. Connection. Love it. Even though I don't always connect with so many people in the class, I connect with myself. I feel my body. I feel where I'm holding on to maybe a tension or a part of me that doesn't feel as loose as I want it to be. And I'm so present to myself. I love taking the time to do yoga. So on a scale of 1 to 10, does it meet connection? Yeah, at a 10 plus at times, right? Significance. A scale of 1 to 10, does it meet that need? For me, at least a 9 or a 10, because it's significance. I feel so good about it. Significance is I'm taking time, honestly, for me to connect with myself, but really it's time for me to connect with God and be present and open up and get into this movement, meditative, feel good state. Love it. Just absolutely love the significance. So super high level. And then growth. Oh my gosh. Growing all the time, feeling like my body's getting better, feeling like my body's getting stronger, growing into new poses, growing into raising my level of consciousness. I love that. And then contribution. So growth is definitely like a 10. Contribution. Here's how I feel like it meets contribution at a scale on the scale of 1 to 10 at a 10 is when I'm in these high vibrations, I get to contribute to the greater good. Yoga helps to get me present. Yoga helps to get me into a care about more people other than myself. Because sometimes this, you can get so caught up in what you're doing and what you got to do and what you got to finish and all the deadlines, right? Yoga gets you out of that space. That's why I meditate every day, right? Honestly, I meditate. I own a float tank. I go for walks in nature. I do so many things that I just love, that light me up, that expand my energy. Why? Gets me out of my head, gets me into my heart and feeling present on this planet. So they're just amazing. So I want you to think of what is it that you love to do? And is it meeting these 6 human needs in a powerful way for you? Is it meeting your 6 human needs, which we all have got to meet to really live a happy life in a healthy way at a high level? And then we'll end on this. What's something that you're doing that you want to look to get off your plate that doesn't feel good, that isn't meeting your needs at a high level, right? And they could be the things that you're labeling as your have tos and your need tos and your supposed tos or your shoulds, right? You're not doing it for the joy of it. You're doing it out of obligation or maybe guilt or some other thing that you've got to look at, right? So one of the things when I was first learning this was laundry. It's like laundry. Certainty, oh my God, it was like a 2. I was certain that I'd probably get the laundry done, but oh my God, it was so boring. And I was certain I wasn't going to have a good time doing it, right? And for me, that there was no variety. If anything, it was like the drudgery. So again, variety was like a 1 or a 2. Then it was like significance. It was like, what am I doing this? I should be paying somebody else to do it. So significance was like a 0. I got 0 significance of doing it other than, okay, someone could walk into my house and not see clothes all over the floor or something, right? 0. Connection. Oh my gosh, connection was so hard to get because it was like I was alone. I was dealing with, clothes, especially if, we'd been working out and they had been sitting there for days. They're stinky clothes on top of that. So 0 connection, right? And then growth. I'm like, I'm not growing doing this at all. That was a 0. And then contribution. I was like, maybe there's some contribution if I'm doing, back then I was just with my boyfriend at the time and maybe there was like 4, but then I'm like, why do I need to be the contributor? Like, let him do the laundry, right? So I had 0 ways of meeting my needs doing laundry. But here's the thing. I shifted even that before, I was able to hire somebody and have the money for that. I was like, how could I feel better about laundry? And then I started going through that. Well, suppose I was certain that, it was going to get done and it was going to get done without, because that part of my thing about pawning this off to someone else is, you know what, they're probably going to ruin my clothes and they're not going to know like the way to wash them, the way that I like to have them washed and stuff. So I start saying, you know what, like I'm really certain that I could do this and I could do this well. I grew up doing laundry. I know how to do laundry, guys, right? So I at least bumped that to like a 7 or an 8, like feeling better about it. And then I got variety. Well, you know, what the heck? I could put on, you know, an audiobook and listen to that or great music. And this doesn't have to be so boring. It's like, how easy is laundry? Just to, you know, nowadays we're not sitting on the side of a stream scrubbing our clothes against a rock, right? Like it takes me probably about 3 or 4 minutes to get all the clothes into the laundry, pop in the laundry detergent and turn it on. Like how difficult is that, right? And I could be, you know, running around listening to great music or like I said, an audio book, right? And then, what does it take? A whole minute to transfer it to the dryer and then it's going to go for a while. And what is it going to take me? 10, 15 minutes to fold the clothes and put them away. And I'm going, what am I making this such a big deal for? And I used to procrastinate and I used to have 4, 5, 6 loads of laundry to do at a time. I don't do that. Right? You know, if anything, we pop in laundry all the time. It's super simple. We keep it out of our space. And then we have people who come in when they clean their house, right? Do the laundry. Like it's just not a big issue anymore. And I'm here to encourage you, things that you've made a big deal or so hard or so difficult, find ways, use these 6 human needs, find ways that you can raise your level of certainty and variety and growth and contribution and connection and significance, right? Like use all of them. Said them in a different order. Didn't mean to mess you up there, but play with this. Use these teachings. And I pray that this podcast inspires you. And even if you don't know Tony Robbins or you're a huge fan like I am, that the power of who this man is on this planet is profound. And if you don't know him, I so encourage you to look him up. He has great teachings, great everything, right? I mean, you don't have to search far to find something of Tony Robbins. He's just a force for good and a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous human being. And I'm so grateful to have shared the last 20 years as him being a powerful influence in my own life. Thank you. I look forward to connecting with you all soon and have a miraculous day. Be a part of the conversation on Facebook and become a Miracles and Millions manifester at michellehumphrey.com/connect. Let's play together because living miracle-minded is the gift you give yourself that has a massive impact on others and paves the way to make you millions. Your time is now.